You guys, welcome back. It's Godlinks and it's a Q&A edition. We did not mean to lose you, but it happened. But we're here and we'll be waiting for you to come back because we want you back. And maybe it even built a little bit of anticipation for you to come back. So, we're sneaky like that. But as far as the trailer, I'm going to try to get that to play now. I have it reloaded because I want those who joined us late to actually see what these two gentlemen are all about and their awesome mission for the Lord. Oh, I already see. Hey, Nicole C. Green. What's up, sister? Good to see you. Okay, let's try this again, folks.
Operation Thunderstorm has everything that a film goer wants. It has espionage, it has sabotage, it has technology. It's historically accurate in a lot of its storyline, and there's a bit of romance there. So I think it has everything. I think it touches every base that a moviegoer will want to see.
It's a fascinating journey and a story that's never been told before. I mean, the fact that this jet that we're talking about, the first propellerless jet, was the first of its kind, and it was the fastest jet in the world.
And I just feel so strongly that these are just great stories, and it's not just Operation Thunderstorm. It has a sequel that's already been written, and it's already in the bookstores, called Operation Pastorius, which picks up right where Thunderstorm leaves off. So we see this as a potential franchise or a potential series of movies.
We have a final draft. We also have finished a pitch deck, which we're going to use to promote and present to potential investors and partners.
Raising the bar in terms of the quality entertainment that we want to deliver and we think we can deliver is going toward some sort of a brand that's going to be out there, that when they see Dan's name or my name or our names together, that there's a brand expectation that this is going to be a great experience that every family member can enjoy.
Operation Thunderstorm checks all the boxes. I mean, it's a great entertaining film. You don't have the gratuitous violence, you don't have the sex scenes, you don't have the foul language. I mean, it's pure but great, thrilling, clean entertainment. We encourage those who want to partner with us to reach out and start the conversation. Join us as we raise the bar in what we call clean entertainment, and that's really what Will and I are both committed to.
Okay, so we are all back now for a wonderful Q&A session, and I'm excited to be here. So if you're just tuning in and you're wondering what the heck is going on, what are y'all doing? Well, this film is going to be epic. I keep saying that word because I just feel it in my spirit. And these two gentlemen are masterminds behind the book and the movie. It's going to be adapted into a movie. So welcome back, Will Ponner and Daniel Barunda. I am so excited to see you again. And I can't get over that clip. That is a really great clip, by the way. Is that by your movie production team?
Yeah, actually, it was somebody that I work with who worked on the documentary. I also did a 2-hour documentary called Time for Change, which was all about the aftermath of the George Floyd death. And he and I worked together on that documentary, which, by the way, won a global award for Best Documentary in Europe and won another award in New York. So he's an incredibly talented guy. So Will and I worked on the script, and then he shot it for us and put it together. So his name is Terry Davis, phenomenally talented guy, and he did a fantastic job for us.
That sure sounds like it. And I was watching some of that earlier and I didn't get to finish it, but I promise I'm going to go back. So how can we reach both of you? Let the audience know again, because we need to know that.
They can reach us by email. And I think, Lauren, you've got our email, danbarunda@gmail.com. That's mine. And then Will, you're at what? Bill at Skyline?
It's Will Ponner58@gmail.com.
Okay.
Right.
Fantastic.
And so they can reach out to us, definitely. We'd love to hear from people who, we were praying about this before we came on, and I was just thinking, there might be somebody out there who knows, a significant actor, or who knows, a producer who, would really get into this type of material. So if you know someone, like Will and I have said many times, we're wide open to whatever God has. So if you know someone, please, email me or email Will or Bill, and let us know. And Lauren, if you could just maybe post our emails on the screen or whatever you think we need to do. That's one of the things that we want. We want to be very accessible to those people who are watching who really want to get involved and help us. So, we'd love it. It'd be great.
That is so great. So with the questions, so tell us, as far as like time period, what year does it start out in?
Well, the story, the screenplay really begins in 1942. And what's going on in 1942? Well, you recall Pearl Harbor just happened at the very end of 41. And so the United States was very much caught off guard. There is a new organization that was founded in June of 1941 called the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, which was the precursor to the CIA. And so they're just trying to get this new spy organization off the ground. And that's where the story really does start. It starts in 1942 when the United States, working closely with England, is made aware of this very secret technology that the Nazis are working on, not only working on, but trying to perfect. And that's kind of the precursor of how the whole screenplay starts off.
Wow. And I heard everything you said. That was really phenomenal. And right now I am making sure that I put your emails in. So feel free to tell us a little bit more before we get into more questions. Right.
Well, what I wanted to add to what Will is saying is that for those of you who are into history, this is a film, this story about this jet that was created by the Nazis has never been told in a film before. So part of the compelling aspect of this film is that this jet, the first of its kind, was the fastest jet in the world during this time period. And so Hitler had planned to use it to, repel the Allied invasion and for other purposes and things like that. But, had he used it properly, as Will and I also say, and I say a lot, this film is a tremendous what if. Had he used this jet technology correctly, one of the jokes that I had, we could have been speaking German. This is real. So I know obviously God is working, but what we talk about is real history. This jet really did exist. Our hero goes behind enemy lines and is basically his mission is to sabotage the development of this prototype. And, he's up against the clock. There's double agents all over the place. He meets this woman that he falls in love with, but he has to maintain his secret identity as a reporter in Germany. So he's right there, in the hornet's nest of Nazi Germany, and he has to conduct this secret mission and, and try to destroy this prototype. So like I said before, I think in the previous segment, this is Mission Impossible meets Top Gun. this is a thrilling ride. If you're interested in being, excited from the moment when you walk in to the end, this is the kind of film for you. And I think I shared last time, one of the great things that I had the honor and benefit is working with Skip Holm, who was the consultant for Tom Cruise in the Top Gun film. So he was great because he basically showed me, how the planes are supposed to move, what happens and stuff. So what you see in the script and God willing in the film is historically accurate. And we really, really worked hard to get that right. So it was great for me just to work with people who, this guy was a real World War II pilot. And he was telling me some funny stories about Tom Cruise, which I can't share, but it's,
I can only imagine.
yeah, you can only imagine, but Skip Holm is a great guy. He's a consultant, and we definitely want to use him going forward as we move into production, God willing, again, because he's an amazing man, and he's a Christian. And once he found out about what we were doing, he says, "Okay, what do you want to know?" So I work with him a lot on the dogfight sequences in the film. At the end, there's this, an incredible sequence where, Frank has to dodge these Nazi planes that are coming after him. So it's a thrill ride. It's just a great thing. And, it was a pleasure to write. And Will and I work really well together. And it was fun, though. Will should speak to this because, it was tough when we first started working together because, this is Will's book. So this is Will's baby. So he's handing his baby over to me, the crazy screenwriter, and saying, "You want to do what? You want to start the movie like this? Are you crazy?" So we had we had plenty of very hilarious conversations where Will said, "Okay, you're the screenwriter. Okay, we'll do it your way." But it was all good because Will helped me get the script right and get the history right. That's important to Will, and that's important to me as a writer to make sure that I'm getting the content right.
I think we struck a good balance because the other thing I would add, this is certainly true in the books, but I think it also comes through in the movies or the screenplay. Again, I take you back to 1942. It was a very innocent time in America. And when Pearl Harbor was bombed, many people didn't even know where Pearl Harbor was. And they didn't have Google or Wikipedia or anything else. So there was a lot of confusion. Yeah, there was a lot of confusion, and it was innocence lost. And so you've got these two characters, Frank Sweeney, the protagonist, and Lee Conway, the girl that he falls in love with, who are not professional. They're not professional spies. They're not professional worldly people. They are, frankly, rather innocent people who have been thrown into this incredibly intense, difficult situation, and there's no playbook. They have to feel their way through this. Frank is basically sent into Nazi Germany undercover as a reporter, and because Ireland was neutral during the war. Again, many people don't even know that. So he poses as an Irish newspaper reporter, and he's basically he's told by the OSS, "We're putting you in there, but after you land in Germany, it's up to you to figure out what this technology is, report back to us, and figure out a way to sabotage it. And oh, by the way, get the key aeronautical engineer on the project, who is Lee's father, try to get him out of Germany so he can work for us." That was his mission. So you're looking at two young, early 20s characters who are thrown into an impossible situation and they have to feel their way through it.
That's amazing, and that sounds super romantic too. So I want to go ahead and go to the comment. So I have Nicole C. Green, and she actually is a singer, and she composes her own music, and she does it for movies. So I knew she'd be tuning in today. And she has the question for you, gentlemen. She says, "Is this your first collaborative project?"
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is our first of many projects working together. And, like we said earlier, Will already has the sequel to Operation Thunderstorm already written, Operation Pastorius. So, that's the follow-up to Operation Thunderstorm. And then we have other projects that we're looking at too, other World War II projects, other film ideas and stuff that we're also working on. So Will and I are not planning to be a one-shot wonder. I mean, we've got a lot of things. I've got other screenplays that have been finished that will also be looking to produce. So we will be content creators, I think, for quite some time.
Yeah, Dan and I have spoken. I've got more ideas for further books. Again, World War II is just rich with stories, and those stories told of these heroes, not just American heroes, by the way. The French Resistance is one great example of people who paid a tremendous price and were extremely brave in resisting the Nazis. Of course, the English, I mean, many allies, there's just great stories of bravery, and we want to tap into that and tell those people's stories for them.
That's fantastic. So answer me this. How fast was that plane?
I can tell you. I can tell you that was the plane, the fastest speed that it was clocked at that I have, and Will probably will double check me, but it was 643 miles an hour. So at the time, that was the fastest plane in the world at that time. And so there was nothing else. No other Allied plane was even close. I think the closest Allied plane that we had was closer to 450 to 500 miles an hour. So that's the reason why this plane was so deadly, because it would approach, you couldn't do anything because you would move so fast, you couldn't even try to engage it, because by the time you figured out where it was gone. So what it was going to be used was also to attack Allied bombers and to, shoot them down before they got in position. So, this plane was used. So it was, like I said, it was a real plane, but it was fast. It was very fast. And the pilots looked forward to this because they realized that they needed something against the Allies, because the Allies were a formidable opponent. So the Nazis figured, well, we just need to find a faster jet. So that was part of their war strategy, is to use this jet to combat the Allies, because they realized they were losing the war. So this was, one tactic that Hitler was going to use to combat the Allied invasion. But like I said, had to use it properly, because the reason why Hitler failed is because he tried to use this jet as a bomber instead of directly as an attack vehicle or attack jet. And so a lot of the pilots were trying to talk him out of it, but he didn't want anything to do with it. So they developed it too late. They misused it when they had it. Or else it definitely could have turned the tide of the war. And like I said, the joke is real. We could have been speaking German. Hitler could have won the war. So that's the reason why this film is fascinating to me, is because it's one of the biggest what ifs in the history of war, which is one of the quotes that I came across, is that Hitler's misuse of this jet has been dubbed by war historians as one of the costliest mistakes in the history of war. So you can see how big of a deal this is. I mean, this is big time history.
One of the other challenges that the Nazis had was training. The Nazi pilots, they could not get their head around how fast this plane was, and so they weren't sure how to handle it. So the training was very slow, and it was very cumbersome. Because you can't just throw anybody in there who can fly a propeller plane and put them in a jet plane and expect them to figure out. So that also benefited the Allies as well.
Wow. Well, I have another question now. So my dad is a huge World War II buff, and his name is Gerald. So Dad, he is asking, will the actors playing the Nazis speak German or with an English accent? What a good question.
You know what? That is such a good question. And if I could answer that myself, what I would say my preference would be is that they would speak in German with English subtitles, because one of the reasons why I think The Passion of the Christ was so effective is, if you remember, that was in the original language, and it resonates as with more authenticity. And so I would say my preference would be they speak German and they have English subtitles. That would be the way to go. And I want to kind of jump off that for a second, because it reminds me of something that we didn't say that we should have said in the other segment, is that I think more credit needs to be given to Mel Gibson and his work in The Passion of the Christ, because I don't think most people realize, I do, working on this side of things, especially in the Christian space or just in the regular space of Hollywood, is that he was the vanguard. He was the trailblazer to go forward and make a film like that, that was uncompromising, that was clearly evangelical with a clear message. And, it made a lot of money, and it really kind of woken up Hollywood to realize, hey, there is a market for these kinds of films. And I credit Mel Gibson and his work in Passion of the Christ, as he made it possible for Will and I to even get close to doing what we're doing, as well as John Irwin, as well as the Kendrick brothers. I mean, he was the one who was, opened the gates and woke up Hollywood, where they started paying attention. Lionsgate has been a distributor for I Can Only Imagine. And, when you have Lionsgate come forward and say, hey, we want to distribute movies, and there's a lot of money that's being spent in this market now, it's because of the success of The Passion of the Christ and the recognition of the Christian audience, that there is a Christian audience and they're willing to spend money. And so it's an audience that they need to pay attention to. And I think, he needs to be given more credit for that.
I think just to add,
Absolutely.
just back to the original question, I would agree with Dan in that, in a perfect world, we'd like this to be as authentic as possible. And remember, we think it's a global audience, not just a U.S.-based audience that would love to see a movie like this. So if we could, in fact, have German dialogue where appropriate with subtitles, I think that would lend some authenticity to the entire project.
I agree wholeheartedly. So I have to know the music, the score for the movie. Have y'all worked on the music portion yet?
We have, I'm glad you asked that. We went through a lot of length to pick out music that fit the period. So, there was a lot of, during the time, there was a lot of German propaganda music using classical, big band, sounds, and they would actually change the lyrics. So it was more German propaganda. So there are some particular tunes that we have in the script that are, from that period that the Nazis were playing. In other words, when there would be a dance hall thing, they'd have a big band playing this type of music that was like Glenn Miller, but with a Nazi feel to it. So, they would be making attacks, at the U.S. and at the Allies, within the song. So, we have those there, as well as, we have Etta James, that amazing song, At Last is an amazing tune, and that is in the film. I mean, that is kind of one of the signature theme songs of when Frank, the hero character, and Lee Conway, the love interest, so to speak, when they're dancing, they're dancing to that song, and they also dance to that song at the end. So for those of you in the female audience, I think you're really going to like it, because one of the people that we had read the script early on was a woman, and she read it. She goes, "Oh my gosh!" And she goes, "I loved it." She goes, "Women are going to love this movie." So in answer to your question, yes, we have music, particularly from the period that's been picked out. We don't have any other additional composers involved yet. But we do have a lot of music that was germane to the period that's in the screenplay. So we did a lot of research on that to make sure we had the music right.
That sounds wonderful. So what's the length of the film going to be?
It's going to be, right now, it's with the script, it's going to be about a little under, just under 2 hours. Which is about the right length. So,
that's the sweet spot, okay? I just have to say thank you for that, because as much as I love, I'm not going to start naming films because I don't want to get sued, but I'm just saying some films out there are just so long. You're like people that, are on date night and stuff and have to get back to the children. They're like, okay, I've been here half my life.
I know, but what I will say to that, Lauren, is that, you know, my background, in addition to as a screenwriter, I've also worked as an editor. So, you know, and I will can attest to this. This script moves. This story moves. I mean, it's on a pace because there's also a bomb element involved. So, you know, one of the things that Frank has to do is set a bomb into this prototype. So there is a ticking clock going on. So the audience is going to be riveted, you know, in this film because it's constantly moving. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of espionage, cloak and dagger, you know, double agents. You don't know what's going on, you know. So it's a fun film. It's a fun ride.
So was that the era of the Luger? I remember that gun really well. Is that one of the guns you're going to use in the movie?
That is actually, yeah, one of the yeah, that's one of the guns. There's a few other guns that we're going to be using, but yeah, that's one of them. We have some Will created some saucy characters. You know, there's some villain characters, and these guys are not nice. You know, they're kind of thugs, you know, and so he's created some great characters. So yeah, they have Lugers and they have other things that they use. So yeah. Yeah, you definitely have some menacing characters. Yeah. Will can speak to that. Will can speak to that. He's created some great characters. You know,
the SS is prevalent in the book and also in the script. And yes, Lugers were one of the weapons of choice on the Allied side. There was this is in my second book, Operation Pastorius, but there's for those enthusiasts out there, it's a STEM gun, STEM, which was actually English made, that was great in concept, but nobody liked because it jammed so much. So
wow,
the need for the American Tommy gun that ended up being used a lot more prevalent in the Europe.
So how does your character, his name's Sweeney, right?
Frank.
Yeah.
How does he get from point A? I just have to know, from point A to point B. Like, is it by plane, or is he go by ship and then plane, or how does that work?
Go ahead. Will. What I will say before Will starts into this is that, you know, he has to go behind enemy lines. So he's going as, you know, as an Irish reporter for an Irish newspaper that's, you know, right in Germany in Friedberg. Okay. So, which is only a few miles away from where they're doing the jet testing. So, but anyways, I'll let Will jump in on that in terms of that part of it.
Yeah, he gets the book is a little bit different than the script, but they're very close. But he basically, Frank Sweeney is an American fighter pilot. He gets called into the OSS. His godfather is a man named George Parker, who works directly for William Wild Bill Donovan. And Donovan is a real historical character. He started the OSS. They're aware of this technology that the Nazis are working on, but they don't know what it is. They just know it could be a game changer. And so they needed somebody who looked Irish, because again, Ireland was neutral during the war, who could pull off an Irish accent, and who could write well to be a newspaper reporter. And the terrible war within George Parker's mind was, this is his godfather or godson. Wow. He's known this little boy since he was born, and he knows that he's the very best person for this job, but it's his godson. And he did what was right for the country. And he said, I've got the right guy. He said that to Donovan. And it turns out to be his godson that he is basically sending into Germany as almost a suicide mission. So like I said, he was given the mission. He was not given, here's how you're going to get it done. It's, we're going to plop you in there and you're going to have to figure it out. So, and along with that, there's codes that they could communicate with, you know, secretly. So it's pretty compelling, and it's it's true to life in terms of how they communicated as well. So, yeah, it's pretty.
I love that.
And as Dan said, nobody's going to be, getting up out of their chairs after 15 minutes in the theater saying, "I don't like this film."
They're going to be hooked.
We are not worried about that. There may be other things we're worried about. We're not worried about whether or not this is going to be an entertaining film going to keep people in their seats. So,
Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. This has been fantastic. Great questions and a great show earlier. And I really hope you'll come back. We should do this again and build some momentum, because I think more viewers are going to hear from their friends and they're going to want to hear about this all over again. So we'll meet back soon.
Yeah. And, as we have more news to share, it'll be great to share, what studio is going to work with us, what's going to happen. We'd be happy to come back and share with the audience what God is doing and where he's moving this project, because we're really excited about it. We feel, an agent who's read the script, who'd been in the business for 30 years, said it was one of the best scripts he's ever read. And he said, this is a blockbuster film. So we've gotten so much accolades from the script. We know that we have a great project here, and now we're just trusting God to take us to the next step. And that's why I'm saying, the viewers, please reach out to us. We'd like to hear from you. Email us with your thoughts, prayers, or connections, or what have you. We're definitely wide open to that as well.
Well, I have another question coming in. So Nicole C. Green said, have you submitted the script to film festivals?
We are, right. I'm glad you mentioned that, Nicole. Yes, we actually have submitted it. Actually, Bill just submitted to 3 festivals yesterday or today. So yeah, it'll be submitted into the top competitions on, and there's I think there's one in Austin. There's a couple more. So we're only going to be submitting into the top competitions, because in particular, the Austin one, the reason why Austin, if you win at Austin is judged by industry professionals. And if you win there, it gets the attention of Hollywood. So we're confident that we will do well at Austin and these other competitions. And that just bring further attention to Thunderstorm and, help us, land the partner that we're looking for, we hope.
Well, that was a great question. So, guys, do y'all have anything else you'd like to say? Because now would be the time to let us know how to reach you. And your budget is $30 million. Just throwing that out there for the followers, so we can build momentum. And churches, also churches, we need churches to come together and support this Operation Thunderstorm. I'm just saying.
Well, and you know what? To that point, what I would say to you, I'm glad you mentioned that, Lauren. We would like to hear from big, quote unquote, big churches that are out there that, that have a big following, that, whether it be, I think there's Calvary, in Orange County, and Jack Hibbs there's a number of churches that are large. We welcome the opportunity, Will and I, to talk about this project with them, talk about what we're doing, because we need prayer partners, and we need the Christian community to stand behind us and support us, whether that be prayer, which is the primary thing right now, or, coming forward. If you're an industry professional and you have some connections, we'd love to hear from you. So, we're really leaning on the Christian community to step up and be a partner with us in this venture, because as we move forward with these types of films, these will be an ongoing film, so that, your audience is going to be able to look forward to these films and go, when's the next film? We want to see it. And again, like Will said from the start, this is the kind of film that your whole family can go to see. And I can't think of anything right now that I would bring my whole family to see. So this is what we're doing. We're creating a brand of clean entertainment that is, family friendly, but without the quote unquote faith label tag that we talked about earlier, that we don't want to carry. We have a mission, we have a plan, and we just need the support to see us through.
I think, just to add to that real quick, are we okay for another minute or so?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I think we talked about this the other night. If you look at maybe the top 50 films of all time, you go to Google and you Google the top 50 films, 90% of those films were made in the 1940s or 1950s. And
Yes.
they are by today's standards very clean films. But they had great
Yes.
stories, they had great character development, right? And so why, we need to challenge ourselves as movie goers or movie makers. Why would we deviate from that standard? If those are the best films, there is an audience for those that
Yes.
really want to be back in the theaters seeing great quality entertainment, but clean stuff that you can even bring the kids to. So we feel strongly about that. The other thing I would just mention again, um, because we don't take any money for the books, if I could mention again, go to Amazon.com
Yes.
and go to, if you just put in Will Ponner, P is in Paul, O N is in Nancy, N is in Nancy, ER. It'll take you to the books and all the monies. Dan and I don't take any money for the books. It all goes to Honor Flights, which is a great organization, and the Wounded Warrior Project. So I just wanted to get that in one more time. That
And
we
I'm
have,
typing that too,
yeah,
just to
yeah,
make sure.
yeah. So it's not about us trying to make a gazillion dollars on the books. We don't take any money for the books, but it's to really support our veterans as well. So.
Well, this has just been a fantastic time together. I can't thank y'all enough for just this time, fellowship. And I wholeheartedly believe in the name of Jesus that this is going to be one of the most epic movies of all time. I believe that. And so I want to lead us in an ending prayer real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for this time with these wonderful, creative people. These men are warrior men for you and your kingdom, and they want to bring the crowds the gospel, and they want to do it in such a beautiful way, and with imagery and everything and excitement. And that's what we need clean entertainment in this hour. We are desperate for clean entertainment. So, dear Heavenly Father, I just pray a hedge of protection around this project. Psalm 91, I pray that you would handpick the people that you want to work with or that you want on this film to cover these warriors. And I pray for the funds. $30 million is not a lot to you, God. So I know that I pray they get more than $30 million. And people with a heart after you and a heart like King David. So, God, we thank you. We praise you. I pray for the followers tonight that you would give them peace and that you would just keep them in all of their ways and their families. And God, we give you all the glory, honor, and praise. Amen. This
Amen.
has been,
Amen.
Thank you, Lauren.
well, y'all
Thank you,
have an
Lauren.
amazing night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye, followers. Thanks so much.